Hey guys, welcome to the third in our video devotional series from the book of Philippians. We've seen, haven't we, as we've been reading through chapter 1, how Paul is so thankful for the people of God in Philippi, for the Philippian church, and how as they partner with him in the gospel, in the work of God, that brings him joy. Even when he's in chains in prison, Paul is able to experience joy in all circumstances. And today we're going to think about verses 9 to 11 of chapter 1. So wherever you are right now, whatever you're doing, why don't you pause this video, go and grab a Bible, and then we can read together. So I'm going to read Philippians chapter 1 verses 9 to 11. Paul writes this. He says, "And this is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight, so that you may be able to discern what is best, and may be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ, to the glory and praise of God." So in the verses prior to this, Paul's been kind of talking about himself in his prayer. He's been talking about how he's so thankful for the people of God in Philippi, about how it brings him so much joy. And now he goes on to talk about what his prayer is for them, and subsequently what his prayer is for us as the people of God today. And this is what he says. So he says, "This is my prayer for you, that your love may abound more and more." So in other words, Paul urges us to grow in love. Now we can assume that he means our love for God, our love for Jesus Christ and his church, and for one another. And naturally, if our love for God increases, then I think as a subsequent repercussion of that, our love for one another increases. Naturally, as we have more love for God, we love the Lord God first, and then we love our neighbour. So our love for one another comes from our love from God. So he prays that our love may abound more and more. But this is not just a love that we feel in our hearts. He also says, may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight. So it's not just that we're, to quote Matthew 22, it's not that we're just to love the Lord God with all our heart, but with all our mind as well. So with our thoughts and with our intentions. And I guess one way that we can love God more and more and grow in knowledge is by reading his word, is by spending time with him and having a real heart for worship. But why does Paul pray this? Why does he want our love to abound more and more in both heart and knowledge? It says, verse 10, "so that you may be able to discern what is best." In other words, he's saying that the more we love Jesus, the more we love one another, the more that our love is abounding more and more, and we're serving Christ and being obedient to him, we're able to discern what is best. In other words, the more we love God, the more we're able to live for him in the right way. We're able to discern what is right and wrong, and what is healthy and what is not. And that's both in our own personal lives, but also in our lives with one another as well, and in our relationships with one another. So naturally, as we grow in love for God and we grow in love for one another, then we'll be able to discern what is best, what is the best way we can live our lives. And what's Paul's big purpose here? Well, it says that if we do that, we'll be filled with the fruit of righteousness. Now remember, righteousness just means to be right with God. So if we're able to discern what is right and wrong in our lives, then that will make us right with God. The fruit that comes from that will be evident in our lives. When we think of the fruit of the Spirit, the love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control, all of those things will be evident in our lives if we are able to love God and love one another and discern what is good and what is not. And ultimately, Paul says here at the end of verse 11, that all of this will bring glory and praise to God. And of course, that's the ultimate purpose, right? That's the global purpose of the church, is to bring glory and praise to God. So here we all are in our individual homes, living our lives out for Jesus. And Paul here in Philippians chapter 1 prays that our love for God might deepen in this time, that our love for one another might deepen in this time. We've already been encouraged, haven't we, to reach out to church family, that our love might deepen for one another, that we might care and support for one another. But in doing that, Paul says we're also able to discern what is right and wrong, that will produce the fruit of righteousness in our life, and ultimately everything we're doing at this time is going to give glory and praise to God. So be encouraged with that this morning. Love God and love one another so that we can bring glory to His praise at this time. And as we've heard this week, we can be the church that God has called us to be. So that was Philippians chapter 1 verses 9 to 11. Tune in next time where we look onwards from verse 12. Take care, guys. Bless you.